Here are 5 regrets that I wish I didn't make in my life. Regrets are something that you can't change because they're in the past, but there's something you can learn from. Regret number 1. This one's a bit unique and you probably haven't heard it before and may not be beneficial to you, or may be, but this is unique to me, and that is basically not being a spendthrift when I should be. What I mean by that is I'm too frugal, and there are times like when I was in a job interview many years ago, and I was invited by one of the hiring managers to get sushi after most of the rounds of interview that day. And instead, I said no thanks and decided to, skip that meal to save money. While, yes, I saved money and I was thrifty, I ended up costing myself a little bit because that was an opportunity, hand extended, to build rapport with this person, and I just didn't process that. So obviously we're all kind of young and still learning and communicating, and we learn from those mistakes. So that brings me to number 2, which is knowing the balance in all things. I think I oftentimes swing to the other extreme and not realize the balance. So I mentioned one with thrift. I saw all these people spending all their money, living paycheck to paycheck, and I said, I'm going to be better than that. I'm going to suffer now and save money. But as you can tell, I swung to the extreme, and that cost me in a job interview. But there are other situations where I swung to the extreme. I missed out on a few get-togethers where a bunch of people I knew went out to eat dinner, and I didn't want to waste the money, so I passed. But I started learning from that, and then I realized, it's okay sometimes to spend a little bit. And then there's other extremes that I should have balanced. I always assumed that the best way to approach a woman is the most aggressive way, as in the most courageous way. You're just going up to her. While it is the most scary way, it's not always the way that leads to the best results. People like to just casually meet through friends or at a social event, not in public with you like running up to them. And so that was another thing that I had to learn. My third regret is not starting a Roth IRA earlier. Now, in terms of finance and building money, this is just something that there was no way I could have. I didn't really stumble across personal finance until probably towards the end of college. Plus, I didn't have that much saved, but I did have a decent chunk of cash. And starting a Roth IRA a few years earlier could, through compound interest, lead to tens of thousands, maybe even a couple $100,000 of difference by the time I retire. And, it's a rare few who start their Roth IRA, which is a tax advantage savings account, right when you are legally eligible, I believe 18. My fourth regret is not taking heed of the things that I needed to do to grow on YouTube because I feared the hassle and frustration of doing them. I thought it'd be terrible to edit thumbnails and edit my videos and add graphics and all these things. So I opted out. I just made these very candid, raw videos. And the result was about 7 or 8 years, 2,000 videos later of me getting like 17 views a video. And I just felt like I didn't want to edit. It was such a hassle. And I would try sometimes and it would suck. And, if I had just bitten the bullet and started editing earlier, my YouTube channel would be a lot bigger, but I was unwilling to make that move, and I kept doing the same thing. And there's that phrase, insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. Now I did switch it up here and there all the time, but it still meant usually unedited videos. And then the fifth regret I have is basically not buying a car earlier. I could have bought a nice used car a couple years ago, and once again I was too thrifty, And you sometimes have to spend on a car. Cars are nice and fancy, and once again I looked at the masses and I thought, wow, they're just wasting all their money and blowing it, but I'm saving and growing and investing it. The issue is I ran my used car for like 11 years to the ground, and the cost, the expenses of repairing it have started adding up to the point where it's like, man, like maybe you should have really considered buying another car like a couple years ago, because now you're eating these expenses and now there's a shortage of used cars and new cars and the prices are hiked. So those are my regrets. Yours might be different, but perhaps you can still glean certain philosophy from these that could help you.